Hi YouTube, this is Winona. I just wanted to do another video to encourage people who are being used by God in various capacities. And whether you are in a church building or God has called you out of the institutional church, you need to understand that God does use people prophetically in and outside of what we call the church. And as God does that, what prophetically minded people really need to understand in this hour is that God is going to give some very harsh words to the church and to people who are part of the church. And so it becomes imperative that you understand that what your role is. You have to understand that God's going to use you to give some harsh words, and you just have to know how to stick and move. Say what God gives you to say, do what God tells you to do in complete obedience to Him, and don't take any of the backlash personal. And yes, there will be backlash. Yes, there are going to be people that will criticize what God has given you to do. There are going to be people that's going to criticize the word that God has given you. But you need to understand that it is not about what they think or what they say. This is about you being totally obedient to what God has given you to do. And once you understand that, you totally cut off a trap of the enemy, which is to get you in a mode of offense, and he can't get into your spirit and in your heart and get you defensive and get you angry at people because they curse you out because you gave a word that they did not like. You can't worry about it. They're gonna curse you out. Are you kidding me? I've gotten cursed out, okay? I've gotten rebuked from the pulpit, okay? I've gotten literally kicked out of a church, okay? And what you have to realize is that, take it as a grain of salt. Throw it over your shoulder, keep it moving. Say what God gives you to say, do what God tells you to do, and keep it moving, basically. And sometimes you have to ignore the critics. You have to ignore people that have all kinds of things to say. So what? You know what? They're entitled to their opinion. They are entitled to believe whatever they want to believe, to think whatever they want to think, say whatever they want to say. Opinions are like butts. Everybody got one. But at the end of the day, this is about have you done what God has called you to do? Have I done what God has called me to do? That's what it's all about at the end of the day. So, I just want to encourage people, especially those of you who are being used outside of conventional or traditional means, to keep doing what God has called you to do. And don't allow anything to get in your spirit that will clog up the voice of God. You won't be able to hear from God because you're so busy defending yourself. And I was there, so I could talk about it. I used to always take things personal. When someone said something against me or whatever ministry that God had me performing, and I would take things personal. I would take criticism personal. I will admit I did it, and I got to the place where it was like, hold up, this is a waste of my time. This is a waste of my energy. I'm not able to hear from God the way I need to. I'm always finding myself in a mode where I'm having to answer somebody back. Don't fall for that trap. Don't fall for that trap. Just keep the communication line between you and God open so that you can hear what God is saying, and keep giving what God gives you to the people. And whoever don't like it, that's their problem. That's their business. It's their problem. It's not your problem. Don't make it your problem. Don't cause it to keep you from hearing from God, because that's what the enemy wants. He wants to clog up the communication lines between you and God. And the one thing that I've been pushing forever and a day is that all of us have the ability to hear from God for ourselves. We don't need a prophet. We don't need an apostle. We don't even need a preacher to hear from God. All you need to do is make sure that your lines are open with God. Have you a good Bible. Have you some Bible study tools. And be open to what the Spirit of God is trying to tell you. And you can hear from God. Period. Now, will God use other people? Yes, He will. But those people should not be the first time you're hearing from God. Those people, when they open up their mouth and say, "Thus saith the Lord," it should only serve as confirmation. But I wouldn't go too much on confirmation because the enemy confirms words too. At the end of the day, bottom line, you need to know how to hear from God for yourself. You need to know God for yourself, like the old folks used to say. And don't, just to go back to what I was saying earlier, don't fall for it. Don't fall for it. Laugh it off. Take it as a grain of salt. Like, okay, all right. Like I did the video about Marvin Winans and Whitney Houston. Somebody, yeah, they cursed me out. So what? I still gave what God told me to give, and that's it. That's a wrap. So, that's the attitude that you have to have. Don't worry about it. Do not worry about it. Do you hear me? Hold your head up and keep saying what God gave you to say.